Welcome to Digital Dialogues with Kyle Morrison. The general manager at Embassy Suites is my guest today. Kyle,
I'm well. How are you?
doing fantastic. Glad to be here. We both woke up this morning, so it's a great way to start. So, Kyle, let's get right into it. Where are you from? Where'd you get your start?
Originally, I'm from New Jersey, but I got my start in Charleston, South Carolina, working in restaurants in high school.
Okay, great. So let me ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges in managing hotel facilities, and how do you address them proactively?
I would say the biggest challenge is use and abuse from guests, not taking care of the asset. To address it proactively, we have to use a good PM program and make sure we get in the rooms and take care of any accidents that happen and make sure that everything's working properly for the next guest.
Fantastic. Now, how do you balance cost control with maintaining a high quality guest experience in hotel facilities?
The biggest key is making a decision on what the greatest guest impact will be. There's tons of different little things in a room that need to be maintained all the time, but making sure that you value what you put into it and what's going to make the greatest guest impact.
Got it. Now, you mentioned PMs earlier. What role does preventive maintenance play in ensuring smooth hotel operations, and what strategies have worked best for you?
PMs are vitally important. It's much easier to maintain an asset than it is to replace or fix it when it's broken afterwards. The best strategy that we've come up with in our company is we use a program called Transcendent that has a whole punch list of everything we need to check in the rooms. We try and get into the rooms once a trimester, each room once a trimester, and proactively clean and maintain all of the different equipment in the rooms. And that automated system works best for us. You don't miss anything or forget. And it's timed so you know how long we're in the room and making sure that we're doing it efficiently and effectively.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, let me ask you this. How do you approach budgeting for facility upgrades and renovations while still maintaining daily operations?
We rely heavily on our corporate management, asset management team. They help us with a lot of the large picture budgeting capital projects and help us evaluate what will be most effective for each property. And then our on property engineering team really dives into the day to day operations.
Gotcha, gotcha. What would you say, Kyle, are the most common guest complaints related to hotel facilities, and how do you work to minimize them?
The most common guest complaint is most certainly HVAC related.
Mm,
Heating and air is a challenge in a lot of, especially older hotels. Again, it goes back to PMing the rooms properly. Several properties that I've been at, you find a short term fix that doesn't end up with a long term solution and makes it worse over the long term. So, making sure that cleaning fan coil units and making sure everything's operational before the guest gets into the room. There's nothing worse than not being able to control your own heat and air and having to wait for maintenance, especially you check in at 10:30 at night and it's the last thing the maintenance guy's doing before he's going home, and it just creates a bad experience from the start. If you're not at the right temperature, it's impossible to sleep.
yeah, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I feel sometimes that I must be part bear because I need to be cool or cold to sleep well. So, with that in mind, and speaking of energy and HVAC, right now, sustainability is still a big talking point in our society here. And how is sustainability shaping the way hotels manage their facilities? And what eco-friendly initiatives have you implemented?
Sustainability is definitely at the forefront. Guests want to know what you're doing to help create eco-friendly solutions. With Hilton, there's a ton of different initiatives, but some of the things that we've implemented is like thermostats that are motion activated, and they're now integrated into the front desk software. So when you check a guest in, it automatically turns it on. That way, you're not blasting heat or air into a room that's unoccupied for a day or two. There's other water monitoring features that we've put in to make sure that we monitor high usage for leaks on cooling towers or broken valves.
Gotcha. So that's pretty standard stuff. From an innovation technology standpoint, what innovations or emerging technologies are most exciting to you in the world of hotel facilities management?
The most, I guess, emerging technology is probably not the best term for it, but we're currently working on integrating all of our building management systems into a remote system
Hmm.
to where if I'm not here, the chief engineer's not here, we're both off, even our regional director of facilities would be able to log in and check building pressure, airflow, and all of the different assets to make sure nothing's running that shouldn't be running or is running that should be running.
Gotcha. That is definitely a good thing. So, what lessons have you learned from handling unexpected crises in hotel operations, such as facility breakdowns or natural disasters?
Definitely preparedness is the most important thing. Just recently in Colombia, we were just on the outskirts of Hurricane Helene, and the hotel lost power for roughly 40 hours. Going into hurricane season, we proactively made sure our generator had a full tank of fuel, which, had we not done that, the generator would have, I think we were about half full when we filled it up. So we needed to refuel that afternoon because power went out at about 5 a.m. We made it to about 8 before having to fully refuel it, but we would have been down and out without it being able to operate entirely if we hadn't been able to do that. Not far before that, we had made sure that we had one emergency connection at the front desk and server room to ensure that we would still have power to a computer to be able to check guests in and out. Just making sure that you think through the little things you hope you never have to use, but even small things. One thing we found out was we didn't have enough flashlights. So it's hard to clean a guest room or walk around when there's no lights on or just emergency lighting. So we didn't have enough flashlights. So Home Depot was very happy that day with me.
Yes, I'm sure that was quite the bill.
Yeah,
So, with that in mind, when you talk about maintaining a good name out in the marketplace, how do well-maintained hotel facilities like yours contribute to guest satisfaction and repeat business?
it's at the forefront of guest satisfaction. It all starts behind the scenes. There's nothing worse than a rundown hotel room. It doesn't matter how hard you work to clean it. If it's not well maintained, it still appears unclean or unsettling, whether it's too hot or just dirty and not dirty, dingy or not put together well. It just doesn't create a great guest experience right from the beginning. You see it first before you feel it.
Yeah, yeah. That actually segues nicely into my next question, which is what role does facilities management play in creating a memorable guest experience beyond just the aesthetics?
Like I said, it's at the forefront when you can't get comfortable because either lighting's bad or you don't feel safe because of different assets that don't appear well, or you just can't get comfortable because the air doesn't work properly. You're not going to trust that's an issue that can be fixed the next time and go back to that hotel. If something's dirty, they can clean it quickly or properly the next time and you can give them a second chance. But if it doesn't feel right, then you're not coming back.
Yeah, yeah. That's once again, I'd like to say that I haven't experienced something like that in my travels and my near 60 years of on this earth, but here we are. With that in mind, what strategies do you use to ensure that both front of house and back of house teams work together seamlessly to maintain the hotel standards?
We do daily stand up meetings and manager walks for the property once a week. We don't always get to hit the entire property once a week because that would take far too long. But each manager on duty is responsible for doing a full property walk every day. And we put in those work orders. If we see something wrong, go into transcendent. Not one person can see every single thing every day. It comes down to communication and making sure that even if there's something wrong or it may seem little to one person, it could be a big deal to a guest. And even if we've seen it 100 times and we just think it's there all the time, something might be able to get done about it that goes a long way to fixing the little things.
So, Kyle, you have a very diverse background. And just out of curiosity, how has your experience across different roles in hospitality, from banquet captain to general manager, shaped your approach to leadership?
I've worked with a lot of different leaders, either good or bad, but from my experience, the best leaders lead from the front line. You can't lead people if you don't see what they're going through. And having worked in just about every area in food and beverage and rooms operations, and recently doing it, it makes a difference to people when you're out not necessarily doing their job every day, but every once in a while pitching in and helping,
Yeah.
especially during high stress situations or tough times.
Yes, lead by example is always a great quality and a great leader. So, what advice, Kyle, would you give to an aspiring hospitality professional who wants to move into facilities or hotel operations management?
Get out there and do it. There's no real training or online class that can teach you how to handle different situations every day. And don't be afraid to fail. Everyone's going to make mistakes. As long as you can own it and move on, that's what's really important. Making sure that you find the right mentors and leaders to follow, and again, lead by example.
Gotcha. So, probably the most important question for me today is, who's your favorite baseball team?
I'm a New York Yankees fan, born and raised.
Oh, all right, all right. The New York Yankees. All right, I'm a Red Sox fan,
I'll
but
give you
that's
that.
okay. I won't hold that against you.
I'm actually going to see my first Yankees Red Sox game in Fenway this summer.
Is
So
that right?
I'm very excited for that.
I'm sure
I've
you.
been to Fenway, haven't seen the Yankees play the Sox there though.
Oh man. Interestingly enough, I was born and raised in Philadelphia, but I became a Red Sox fan when Fred Lynn and Jim Rice were rookies back in 75, 76. That was my introduction to the Red Sox. However, I will say this, I am a sports junkie. So while clearly the Yankees are our arch rival, many great Yankee players that I love, from the Ron Guidry, and of course I'm old. I'll probably start mentioning names you won't remember. But yeah, so well, great. Listen, Kyle Morrison, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today. Thank you for joining me here on Digital Dialogues. It's been a fantastic ride, and maybe we can do this again someday. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your day. And but I'll talk to you before then. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you again.